So this was I think this was the only time Jesus really got angry. And you see those two guys run, yeah, those are the Pharisees. Those are the Jews, the higher ups of the church. Yeah, and what Jesus really was upset about, and this is why he didn't go to these people. There's many examples of this, understanding of why he didn't go to the church leaders. But in one of the Gospels in Matthew, Jesus at the temple, Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers, the bankers, and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. Who? The Pharisees. The Pharisees were the Jews. They were the heads of the church back then. Wait, Jesus didn't go to them. Yeah, Jesus was really angry. Yeah. Because that's why he didn't go to the Pharisees, the scholars of the church back when he was here. Because they weren't going to get it. They were busy using the church as a place to set for a den for robbers and thieves when it's supposed to be a house of worship. So he knew how corrupt they all were. And yet I would say they had so much influence. They did. That the church it really had more influence over the Roman Empire than anybody. They were the ones that called for Jesus' death, an innocent man, because he interrupted their lifestyle. Pharisees, and the Sadducees, they're all different sects of Jews. And it's not that Jews are the problem, it's these corrupt people, because the disciples were all Jews. But this is why Jesus spent the entire New Testament warning people about not being deceived. The best way this world, or the Pharisees, you could say, the modern day Pharisees of this world would want to deceive the Jews is by, no, we're just going to stick to the Old Testament. But yeah, Jesus cursed these men. Not that none of them were saved, but most. No, look at they were. This is why. Look at the robes. This is why Jesus mocked this stuff. They think that they're so special. Is it any different today? No, really not in any religion. You have, especially Catholicism. Look at all the robes and hats. I always bring it up. You know. They're so dressed up in their gear, likely are the biggest sinners more than any of their constituent or their people in their parish. But people are bowing down and kissing their rings, same thing they were doing back then. Nobody ever gets it. Same thing in history over and over again. Yeah. You see how proud they are and all of their glorified, It's all like surface, yeah, Jesus, that's why Jesus went to none of them. He cursed them in many ways. He said, woe to you, many times. And he talked about the fake Jews. It's in Revelations. That's why a lot of people talk about the fake Jews. Here it is. Revelations 3:9. Behold, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say that they are Jews and are not, but lie. Behold, I will make them come and bow down before your feet, and they will learn that I have loved you. For no one is a Jew who is merely one outwardly, nor is circumcision outward and physical. Because it's all about the heart. Really, the circumcision of the heart when Jesus changes your heart. It talks about it replacing the heart of stone with the heart of flesh. That it was never going to happen here. That's why Jesus didn't go to them. He knew they were going to be the He knew ultimately that it was the very scholars of the Jewish church back then that would demand that he die, that would demand that an innocent man die. And so here's a theory I have, because the Jews and the Roman guards were the ones that nailed the cross, and Pilate made the decision but thinks he washed his hands. No, he didn't. he basically, signed his own fate, really. But they chanted for them, for the Roman Empire to put him to death. So I think that there's a lot of pride there. So that's why they want to. There's been these Jewish scholars all these years that have made these arguments about why the New Testament doesn't hold any water. Yet you guys are the same people that Jesus was mocking back in the day. Just wanted to mention. Yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's the repeating story. Yeah, this is when they were telling Pilate, no, he must be put to death. But Pilate said, I don't have any reason. He's an innocent man. He's done nothing. This is the church right here, the Pharisees. The robes, the hats, yeah, that's why Jesus mocked them. They are the scholars, the experts. And this is from Passion of the Christ, obviously, Jim Caviezel. But, yeah, they wanted him dead. They somehow, this is how stupid the experts were in the church, the Jewish church, is they somehow thought that by killing Jesus, it would just make it all go away. It did the opposite. I mean, that's how good God is. Yet, even to this day, because of the pride of the Jewish scholars, because they don't want to admit and repent and say, you know what, we have not been honoring God, because how can you make all of these statements against you're going to believe the Old Testament and not the New? Then Jesus was right. You didn't know the true God ever then. The Pharisees never knew the true God. So Jesus knew they would never recognize him. But those that truly believed in the real Old Testament God, those are the Jews that Jesus went to. And they knew who Jesus was, unlike the experts and the scholars. For the great day of wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand? And what happens in Revelations? Well, this. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who suppress the truth in unrighteousness. That's Romans 1:18. It's all about suppressing the truth, suppressing the truth. The Pharisees did it, the Jewish scholars today. They just make reasons why, no, we're just going to disregard. They lead a whole group of people on the wrong path by saying, yeah, we're just going to go with the Old Testament. It makes no sense at all. Doesn't. And yet then all the pastors, priests, everybody here in this country, because they were all trained in Satan's school of the synagogue of Satan school, seminary school, just say, yes, well, we're one people. Yeah, we're all one people. But in all honesty, it slaps Jesus in the face. Why isn't there anybody saying that? Now, of course, that does not condone violence ever. But this is what ends up happening because people believe false leaders, false priests, false pastors, because they think that they know better than you actually going to the truth teacher. That's how people are led astray. And some are led astray into Hamas and believing, yeah, let's become a terrorist organization and blow up people. Or you become no different than the Jewish scholars and experts today, yet they were the same as the Pharisees. They think they know better. And I guarantee you, the same story would repeat. In modern day, Jesus came, they would still put him to death because they don't want to admit that they were wrong. They don't want to look at themselves. It's all through the New Testament. They were always trying to go after. It is the Jewish scholars of the church that went on to have the Roman Empire hunt down the disciples and torture and kill them. Now, am I saying that the Jewish scholars today would do that? No. What I'm saying, though, is that what they get passed down, they just believe. And it makes no sense. God does not protect those that didn't believe in his son. And if you knew him, then you would have known who Jesus is. It's very simple. It's a lot more simple than this world has made it. This world just loves to complicate the hell out of everything. Jesus, he's simple.